Hello everyone, this is Dr. Farley. I just want to introduce you guys to the paper topic in some more detail. I know we've had problems communicating it, so hopefully this will help you guys out. I'm just going to go over all the different terms and things for the paper. First things first, just go an overview of what's going to be expected for the paper. We're going to start with 3 annotated bibliographies. Each one of these is going to have 5 sources apiece, and you'll see the breakdown for those bibliographies in the research video as well. The outline, we're going to have a couple weeks to construct an outline, and that is going to structure all of our sources so that we know exactly what we're going to be writing about. So we need to be thoughtful and deliberate about that. So we're finding the information in the bibliographies, we're structuring the information in the outline, and finally we're going to come up with a term paper. The requirements for the term paper are 12 sources, 12 cited sources in the paper, 3,000 words, and a works cited page. So the first half of the semester will be taken up by the research process and the bibliographies. And the second half of the semester will be taken up with the outline and term paper. So we'll have plenty of time to do all this. I know it sounds like a lot, but it should be very manageable. As for the topic itself, obviously we have all kinds of important things happening in 2020. One of the most important is the presidential election. So I just want you guys to think about an issue that you feel like is going to be important for the election. So it could be anything that's happening itself. You can think about things that the candidates are talking about. You can think about topical things, just anything that you feel like is going to be a main reason why someone would vote for a particular candidate works. And so, healthcare is obviously an issue. Race and policing is an issue that's been very important recently. Immigration is an important issue. All of those things have been very, very big topics throughout the first term of Donald Trump. So those things will come back into play, obviously, now that the election is going to be in full swing. It could be a major issue like that. It could be something smaller that hasn't made as many headlines. Education policy, things like that. That's not making the front page every day, but there'll be differences between the candidates. It's an impactful issue. It's something that people care about, so it could be anything like that. You could choose one issue. You could choose more than one issue if you want. I think choosing one issue is easier because it's easier to stay focused. If you choose more than one issue to write about in your paper, just make sure that you're finding ways to relate those two issues together. And I'll explain some of this more in just a second. So when you're thinking about something, say it's healthcare or something like that, you're thinking about the nature of the issue itself. And in other words, not the politics of the issue, just what is happening in the healthcare system. The healthcare system is designed like this. We have a private healthcare system in the United States, except for Medicare and Medicaid. Part of the problems is that millions of people are uninsured. There's very high costs. There's a very high level of medical bankruptcies, things like that. So those are the problems of the involved with healthcare, and that's not a political problem. That's not something anyone's spinning one way or the other. Those are just sort of facts about the healthcare system. So that's kind of what you're looking for when you're thinking about the nature of the issue itself. You need to be thinking about who are the voters who would probably care about this issue the most. And so, for instance, if you don't have health care and there's a candidate that's trying to offer some to you, then yeah, that's going to be a big issue for you, and that's something that might attract you to that particular candidate. So think about which voters are really concerned about this issue. And connecting that to the kind of why do you think they would be concerned. So we've talked about the nature of the issue itself. This has nothing to do with Trump or Biden or any third-party candidates. This is just what is going on in America at this time. The next thing you need to think about is the candidates, because obviously the candidates are going to be saying a lot about these different issues along the way. So things that they're saying in interviews, things they're saying in speeches, things that they're putting out on social media and stuff like that, that's all fair game. How are the candidates talking about a particular issue is what you want to look for there. In addition to that, you're thinking about what candidates have done. So take immigration an issue, what the candidates are saying. Donald Trump is kind of framing immigration in specific ways, and the ways he talks about people coming into this country. That's kind of what he's saying. What he's done is try and restrict both legal and illegal immigration. He has tried to expand the border wall and has done to a very small extent. He's canceled a lot of visa programs. He has restricted DACA. He's done a lot of other things. Those are the things that the candidate has actually done about that issue. So what he's saying is one thing, what he's doing is another. So we have the nature of the issue, we have what the candidates are saying about the issue, and what they've actually done concerning that issue. As we're sitting down and working on these papers, what I want you to always keep in mind is that the issue itself is the center and focus of your paper. So we're not thinking about the candidates and what they're saying or doing or their character or anything else like that, unless it's in relation specifically to your issue. So we care about voters in so much as what they think about your issue. We're thinking about the candidates in so much as what they think. Responsible groups. So again, if we're sticking with healthcare, for instance, groups that are going to be heavily involved in this are insurance companies, healthcare providers, those types of people who make up the healthcare system. And so all of those people will have a lot to say about this issue as well. And the media, how the media kind of frames this issue is important as well. But again, we're always coming back to the thing that you've chosen that you think is important for this election. The reason why we're going to talk about the nature of the issue, if you see data about what goes on in the media during a presidential election, very little of the information that's actually covered. It covers any information about the issue itself. If you'll see the graph on the right here, percentage of news reports. So the largest category is horse race. So 42% of news reports are simply going to cover, Biden is 8 points ahead in the polls to Trump, and he's going to beat him on this, and Trump is going to win voters more on this issue. And it's just basically about who that media outlet thinks is winning some particular aspect of the race. Controversies, 17%. So if somebody says a gaffe or says something stupid or something quite controversial, obviously, Trump had quite a few of those in the last presidential campaign, so I'm sure you can kind of fill in the blank as to what might that look like. That's also a considerable proportion of what they're talking about. You'll see in that red there, it says policy stands. Only 10% really of what is going on in the media is talking about what a particular candidate would actually do about an issue. So 90% of the dialogue is not really what any one particular candidate is going to do for anyone. It's all this other stuff. So because there's such a little focus on policies and candidates and what they're doing or not doing, it's important to understand the issues and how they affect people. You'll see in the chart on the left, when we're talking about all of these different things, most of the news stories are also negative. Obviously, controversy is very high because they're saying something potentially very offensive to people. The horse race is, negative about the candidates as well. This person's not doing this enough. So, lots of negativity, lots of focus on everything but the issues themselves. So, we're going to take a step back and we're going to think about what's really important. In this example, I just talk about rising cost of tuition in college. You can see the graph there to the right in the years. The dark blue line is cost of tuition just at inflation, and the light blue line is the actual cost of tuition. So think about the issue. We're thinking about what's happening with this issue, who is responsible for what's going on, in this case universities, or is it state governments who are cutting funding, all those kinds of things. And are there any solutions going on out there? How are people trying to cut these costs? As I covered before, candidates are saying two very important websites. You have Donald Trump's campaign site, Joe Biden's campaign site. If you do want to cover third-party candidates, please do so. But yeah, they're going to have a million different interviews, speeches. They're publishing stuff on social media. There's going to be no shortage of information to find out the things that candidates are saying. What candidates have done. Voting record, Biden has been in politics for 50 years. He's a senator for much of that time. He will have voted on all kinds of issues before, and that will be a key part of what you can consider. Executive orders, what Donald Trump has done as president about certain things, laws passed. So just think about their record and getting all that kind of stuff done. All right. Hopefully that will kind of introduce you to what we're doing. Again, the three constituent parts are going to be the nature of the issue itself, what the candidates are saying, and what they're doing about it. And in this way, we're going to sort of comprehensively look at something that you feel is really important for this upcoming presidential election. It doesn't matter whether you're a voter or not, because all of these things are just very important to all of our lives, so it's a good thing to think about regardless. If you do have any questions about any of these, please let me know. Thank you.